Good morning. I am going to do my press release this morning, and I'm going to start by saying this. The actions of the Charlestonville riot yesterday were, first of all, very, very crazy. Second of all, this was racist. This is white supremacy at its best. This is what happens when you have a president that incites violence throughout his campaign, and then he incites it as president, but he doesn't call them by their names. What you have is a bunch of neo-Nazi wannabes, a bunch of white supremacists, a bunch of people that think they are right to do whatever they want to do. They are called street thugs. These are simply Mr. Trump's street thugs. Okay? Because Mr. David Duke or Mr. West, whichever of those KKK members was it, stated on yesterday that they are carrying out President Trump's agenda. How can you carry out an agenda of hate? Well, let me tell you, this is nothing new for African Americans. This agenda of hate is the same agenda of hate from 1613 all the way up until now. This is the same agenda of hate that Dr. King fought against with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the same section of hate and white racism and white supremacy that we felt in the Civil Rights Act of 1864, which outlawed the same thing as it did in the 1964 bill, with a couple of different stipulations in the 64 that it did not have in the 1864 bill that it had in the 1964 bill. But this is the same hate that we have been dealing with for centuries and decades. And this is simply what happens when you had somebody at the top of the food chain who's a loose cannon that will not and does not have a backbone. He's a slimeless rat. He's a New York street rat. He runs around in the middle of the night eating up garbage like him, but he cannot and he will not call these wannabe Nazi thugs, these wannabe vigilantes or wannabe supporters of his. You can't call them by name. But then you're going to say, on both sides. Okay, what's on both sides? This is the same racism we faced. You didn't face it. You grew up privileged. We grew up off the backs of slavery with nothing and have had to deal with this type of oppression and this systematic destruction that y'all have created, but that you have continued to bring forth instead of trying to say that it is not and will not stand. You have simply incited it, encouraged it, and made it where it is able to happen. Now, my press release says this on this morning. Excuse me while I get ready to read my press release. My press release states as is. African Americans will not go back to what it was 400 years ago, and we will not go back to what it was 50 years ago. We have risen to become powerful people, and we will not deal with this oppression of wannabe Nazis, of wannabe white supremacists, of people that are claiming white lives matter. No. Yeah. What have you done? No, white lives do not matter in this case. When you're dealing with the hate and people that are insensitive and that are rooted in hate and brought up in hate, racism is taught. It's not something that you're born with. It's taught by the people that believe in oppressing another just to get a rise or believe that they're more powerful than the next person that they're looking at, when we're simply all one thing, human being. But yesterday, they were not humans. They would come and shriek thugs that thought they were in the big leagues. Next time, when you decide to be in the big leagues, understand whom you're playing with. Because this is not Dr. King's generation. This is not slavery. We're no longer on the plantation. We will deal with you the way you deal with us. Now, the remaining of the press release says that I am shocked and I'm devastated, and I will stand with those victims as I felt the hurt of the oppression, of the racism, of the pain that these people felt on yesterday. This is shocking on so many levels that this is still able to go on in 2017. But what's not shocking is that you have somebody in full support of it, and his name is Mr. Trump, and he happens to lead this country, and nobody's going to do anything about it on that Republican side at all. And then furthermore, the press release later states this: we have come too far to turn back now. This endangerment on yesterday was dangerous. I am deeply saddened and hurt by all the victims that were injured, and for the one victim that was passed away due to the complications of yesterday's actions. I stand with you, united as a front. But as I previously stated in my press release, I cannot and I will not stand for violence. And I cannot and I will not stand for white supremacy. What was shown yesterday was the final act of white supremacy. This is what happens when you lose control and power, and you can no longer mind control people. I want to say this in closing. We must end white supremacy. We must end racism. We must end hate crimes. This is what yesterday was, simple hate crime. We must end it. We must come together. We must teach our children that this is not how things are done. You simply do things differently, and you come together not by the person's skin color, but by the person's personality and the actions that they have simply towards you. That is what you judge a person off, their character, their actions, and the way they carry themselves, not because of their color and because you have an evil agenda that you want to carry out. You want to push forward Mr. Trump's agenda? Well, I got a thing to say. People, we're going to push back. And this way, when we push back, it's going to be harder than what it was yesterday. Now, I'm not inciting violence, but I'm here to let you know. You can't push people around and don't expect a reaction. God bless you all. Good Sunday morning.